Papers have been laid. Question.
Leader of the opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have given notice to a private question to ask the Honourable Minister of Commerce and Consumer Protection whether in regard to the consignment of unleaded motor gasoline 95 research octane number imported by the State Trading Corporation since August to December 2019, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from STC information as to A, the agreed specifications of the contract signed with Vitol, B, the results of the tests conducted at loading port and discharge port and counter-analysis of samples on board taken prior to the discharge thereof, and C, whether an assessment has been carried out on the impact on vehicles which have been using unleaded motor gasoline 95 run from the said consignment.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the State Trading Corporation is assigned the responsibility of procuring the annual requirements of petroleum products for Mauritius since 1984. Initially, the State Trading Corporation had recourse to selective bidding, and later, as from 1987, it resorted to open international tenders for such procurement, and the contracts were awarded to the most competitive bidder. Since then, it has been the practice for the supplier of the accredited surveyor to conduct tests on the products at the port of loading prior to the loading on the vessel. At the discharge port, only the volume of the products was verified by a surveyor appointed by the State Trading Corporation. With respect to quality, the State Trading Corporation relied on the certificate of quality issued after testing at the port of loading. From 1987 to 2006, the suppliers of the State Trading Corporation were Kuwait Petroleum Corporation, Caltex Petroleum Corporation, Engen, Shell International Limited, Independent Petroleum Group, KPC, Weber Oil Galana Energy Limited, Chevron Texaco Global Trading, ADAX, and Vitol Bahrain and Litasco. In 2006, following bilateral negotiations between the government of Mauritius and the government of India, STC has been purchasing petroleum products from Mangalore Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited, MRPL. The State Trading Corporation entered into a first contract with MRPL in July 2006 for a period of 1 year, only to assess the performance of the supplier. Thereafter, the contract was renewed for a successive 3 years period from August 2007 to July 2010, August 2010 to July 2013, and August 2013 to July 2016, and August 2016 to July 2019. In 2013, the State Trading Corporation decided to carry out surveys on the world market to determine the prevailing premiums for petroleum products required by Mauritius. As more competitive rates were obtainable, the STC held negotiation with MRPL for a decrease in its premium. However, MRPL did not agree. STC then decided to review its procurement process and launch tenders on the international market. An international tender exercise was launched on the 25th of March 2019 for the supply of petroleum products for the period of 1st August 2019 to 31st July 2020. By the closing date of 29th of April 2019, 11 bidders submitted their offer, out of which 9 quoted for clean petroleum products and 8 for dirty petroleum products. Following an evaluation exercise, the board of the STC approved that the contract with the CPP be awarded to the lowest substantially responsive bidder, namely Vitol Bahrain EC and to PetroChina International Singapore Limited, for DPP for the period of 1st August 2019 to 31st of July 2020. The contracts were not awarded in light of the judgment of the Supreme Court of Mauritius in the case of STC versus Betamax in May 2019. Alternative arrangements were made by the STC with the Central Procurement Board for an emergency procurement for the period of 1st August 2019 to 31st of January 2020, following which the contract was awarded to Vitol Bahrain EC for CPP and PetroChina International Singapore Pte Limited for dirty petroleum products. Mr. Speaker, sir, as requested, I'm tabling a copy of the agreed specifications of the contract signed with the Vitol Bahrain ECC. These specifications were the same as for the last contract with MRPL. During the 6-month contractual period, Vitol Bahrain EC supplied 9 consignments of clean petroleum products. For the period August to December 2019, which is specifically mentioned in the question, 7 consignments were received. I'm tabling a copy of the test results at the port of loading and port of discharge of these 7 consignments. The tests revealed that the products were conform to the contractual specifications and were accordingly discharged, taken over by the oil companies. As regards to the reference to the counter-analysis of the samples at B, section 2 of the question, I'm informed by the STC that the counter-analysis is performed only when the results of the key tests prior to the discharge of the products do not comply with the agreed specification, and in such cases, the products are not discharged and returned to the supplier. Mr. Speaker, sir, now I come to the last part of the question relating to assessment and impact on vehicles. I'm informed by the Trade Trading Corporation that the consignments for the period of August to December 2019 were in order and according to specifications. Consequently, the need of an assessment on the impact on vehicles on gasoline did not arise. As regards to the specific consignments of MT Hanifia Libra and MT STI Executive, the initial issue about RON was cleared and issues relating to other metallic additives are still under investigation. At this stage, Mr. Speaker, sir, I can reassure the House and the Leader of the Opposition that gasoline currently being supplied is clean and fully compliant to international norms.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would ask the Honourable Minister whether he had a look at the clean product, petroleum product sheet, option 1. And it's very glaring and shocking. There is no mention of manganese. No mention of manganese, which means that there is no threshold in respect of manganese. And what it means, can I ask the Minister whether the Vitol will use MMT to blend the mogas to achieve the run number 95, because there is no mention at all of manganese.
Mr. Speaker, sir, actually, as I mentioned before, the same contract, the same specification from 2016 has been repeated until now. So when the Motor Vehicle Dealers Association came to me with a doubt, I clearly mentioned that they doubt that following some problems relating to vehicles having knockdown, it may be related to manganese. We immediately spoke to the supplier in order to clear the doubts. We are not saying that this may have caused this problem. In order to clear the doubts, we have requested that no manganese should be present in the gasoline being supplied in Mauritius and any other ions that may affect the engines. These are the actions that we took, and this is, now we can say that, but accordingly, Vitol has been supplying gasoline according to the specification that has been sent to them, for which they tendered for.
Speaker, this is a very serious matter. I would like the Minister to table a request in respect of threshold of manganese. Not only there's no threshold of manganese, they've raised the level of benzene by more than 300%, which means that it gives a big leeway to Vitol to blend mogas with MMT to reach the octane level of 95. Basically, can I ask the Minister whether he's aware that Vitol buys what we call parcels of oil, bring all those parcels together, and then go for blending in its plant in Fujairah. Basically, again, using MMT to raise the level of manganese. This is what actually happened.
Mr. Speaker, this is the say of the Leader of the Opposition. I don't work in refineries, nor am I engineer in petrol. This is what he is saying. So whatever he's saying, he takes the full responsibility of it. But as I mentioned before, Vitol only started to supply Mauritius since August 2019. And this has been the case since 2016 or even before. But no tests of manganese were being effected at that time, even at the port of loading, no at the port of discharge. So I cannot say whatever the leader of the opposition is saying, whether it's correct, it's wrong, or it's not in order.
The Minister asks a simple question. Can I impress upon him to table that request? And he is not aware, Mr. Speaker. So can I ask him? Yeah, all right.
No,
Table the request.
Which request?
You said there was a
Which request?
That's right. Request in respect of the level of, in respect of the threshold of manganese.
You said you made a request afterwards.
Yes. Where is it? Well, that's one of the preconditions established by STC. He's running away. He's not giving the reply.
You made a request.
Can I?
Give the request.
He's not able to reply. Can I ask? He's not able to reply. He's running away from responsibility. Can I ask the?
Silence, please.
Can I ask the Honourable Minister?
Allow the leader of the
Can
opposition
I
to put his
ask the
question.
Honourable Minister whether a due diligence was conducted before the contract was awarded to a trader?
Mr. Speaker, sir, he's asking a question. It was done in August 2019. And if I can still remember, the former Minister of Commerce did answer to APNQ on that. He did answer to APNQ. No, we are taking the response.
Silence, please. Let the minister answer.
Shame low to him. When actually the former Minister of Commerce answered to APNQ on that, and he cleared everything. Whatever, when the contract was awarded, it was properly awarded, and Vitol is supplying gasoline to Mauritius until now. And as I mentioned, the same specifications from Mangalore has been transferred to Vitol.
Mr. Speaker, so we've asked a very simple question. Why don't you table the request in respect? Because you said that the contract is substantially the same. Do you know that with Mangalore? You know what was spelled out? No manganese would be in the bagasse. No manganese at all. I would like to know whether tests have been conducted at port load, at port of discharge, and I would like to know who conducted those tests.
I can inform the House, Mr. Speaker, sir, that, that tests are being effected at the port of loading and at the port of discharge now. Before that, no tests on manganese were being effected. When the issue, or when the doubt was raised by the Motor Vehicle Dealers Association, I requested personally that test be carried out on those gasoline to make sure that there's no presence of manganese. And until now, all the tests have been conclusive. So at the moment, and the tests are being carried out by SGS, which is an independent and internationally renowned surveyor.
If the minister is not able to lay on the table a very important document in respect of the level of manganese, what else can we expect from this government? Now, can I ask the Honourable Minister, not only we are dealing with a trader, but we are dealing with a company which has been involved in many shady deals in Russia, in Mozambique, in Sri Lanka. It has been banned. And because of adulterated mogas, Sri Lanka has lost more than 10 million US dollar.
Mr. Speaker, sir, he's talking of if he wants to become the leader, I think he should sit at his place.
There's no need for questions then. Sit down, Mr. There's no need for question if the minister has no chance to give the reply. Honorable Leader of the Opposition, no cross-talking, please. No cross-talking, please. Honorable Minister, give the reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as I mentioned, Vitol was selected after a bidding exercise. And let me inform the House that Vitol has been supplying Mauritius in the past as well. So far that there's no issue, We cannot really get into the ins of the... I think that the due diligence job has been done well before, and Vitol has been supplying Mauritius, and other countries as well, they are still supplying until now. So So far that we have no issue, so far that they've been supplying according to specification, so far that SGSO, the independent surveyor, is happy that
Don't
everything
interrupt the minister.
is working. I think the contract is on until at the end of the contract, then we are going for a new tender exercise.
I'm glad that the truth comes from the mouth of adults also. And what he has said that we have relied upon Vitol. And yet Vitol is a company which has been involved in many shady deals. And can I ask the minister whether he's been made aware that the officers of Vitol has been searched in Brazil, in Switzerland, by the FBI. And when the question was put to him, what did he say? He put the blame upon octane boosters. That's what he did.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I mentioned, it was conducted after a bidding exercise, as we mentioned. We are not here to defend anyone. As I said, we didn't put the blame on anyone. As the STC, when we conducted surveys, when we had analysis on the octane boosters being available on the market, Mr. Speaker, sir, you'll be surprised to hear the figures. On all the test results, the level of manganese on the octane boosters available on the market freely, sold everywhere. It ranges from 74.8 mg per liter to 7,263 per mg per liter. And these are available on the market. And Mr. Speaker, sir, you will be surprised by the figures. Actually, in Mauritius, 420,554 kgs of octane boosters have been imported. So that means that they are asking that some people are using it in their cars, but it was our duty to inform the public. We didn't pinpoint anyone. We just informed the public to be careful about using octane boosters in their cars so that it may result to car breakdowns. So I think it was our duty to do it.
Speaker, sir, again, the minister's game for a laugh. We all know that octane booster has been in use since almost days immemorial. Why is it that when Mangalore was the main supplier, there was no problem with octane booster? Why is it so?
So I think the leader of the opposition are defending the importers of the octane boosters. I think as a duty, I think we just inform the public. You are not defending the consumer. Otherwise, you would have been sitting here.
Leader of the opposition. You had the floor, leader of the opposition. Let the minister answer.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, sir, as we mentioned, we are not defending anyone. We are just informing. And when the Motor Vehicles Dealers Association came to me, and when they emitted some doubts, we cleared the doubts immediately. And we're still working with them. We are still collaborating together. And it's only 1.8%, according to the figures given by the MDVA, that some vehicles have had some issues. And Mr. Speaker, sir, all the 3,300 vehicles that has been mentioned, we don't have a clear picture of these vehicles, whether they've been surveyed, whether they've been serviced properly, whether they've been serviced by the agents, whether they've been serviced by the proper mechanic. And also I've been talking to all the importers of vehicles in Mauritius. Some of the authorized dealers didn't even have one case. Even the Second-Hand Car Dealers Association didn't have one case. Let us talk about the speedboats. No one came to us. What about the boats? No one came to us. Motorcycles, nothing. They run with the same gasoline. So that's why we need to see where's the full responsibility, where's the exact problem. We cannot just say, oh, it's like this, it's like that, or we become expert all of a sudden on gasoline.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have ruled out octane boosters. We have ruled out Motor Vehicle Dealers Association. But I have said so, because as to now, can I ask the minister, and I'll advise him to make available to this House results conducted with respect to manganese and benzene, from boat load to discharge at port. And I would like to know who hired the services of the inspectorate, who paid for it, and why is it that up to now there has been no results published by STC?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I've just, in my previous reply, mentioned clearly that the tests are being conducted by SGS Mauritius, and SGS is a international renowned company which does surveys all over the world. Are we today in this House, the leader of the opposition, putting fingers at a big organization like the SGS? Or any other? Actually, we had Minton as well who came. I think we should rely on their report. So whatever they put in their report, they take their full responsibility, and we rely on these reports. Because we are not experts. The leader of the opposition just said that he's knocked out octane booster. I didn't know that he was expert in octane booster, knowing gasoline. I'm not. But we rely on reports from independent, qualified surveyors.
Mr. Speaker, sir, not only the STC, in fact, has adopted what I call a delayed onset action. Others have conducted and sent samples overseas. And the results are a high incidence of manganese level. Are these people not telling the truth when they say that the 50 times the level of the threshold of manganese? Mauritius Vehicle Dealers Association, are you telling me that they are not saying the truth? Those what we call the oil majors companies, and we know that tests have been carried out also by them. Are you saying that they are not telling the truth? It's only STC which is hiding behind the truth because it is guilty of impropriety and it has to pay those who've suffered undue harm and those who've incurred financial losses. I'm talking of those 3,300 vehicle owners.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the samples sent by the Motor Vehicle Dealers Association comes from where? From the tanks of the vehicles. What happened to it? Who added anything to it? We don't know. We don't have a clear picture. If it was gasoline taken from the tanks of the STC, then I would have agreed with the report. Tests are being carried out. Investigation is being carried out. We had experts which came from the United Kingdom. They've done their work. They took samples. They took samples from all the petrol stations. They took samples from our tank. They took samples that were kept at the unloading. And they took the spare parts which were damaged so that we can have a thorough analysis. We cannot jump to conclusion just like that. And as I mentioned, Mr. Speaker, sir, only 1.8%, according to the figures given by the MDVA. Whether these figures are correct or not, we don't know. And as I mentioned, why only 1.8% of cars? Why only from specific brands? Why no boats, no motorcycles? Why? So we should ask ourselves the question. So we should conduct thorough analysis, deep analysis, to make sure that whatever is going to come out should be correct for everyone.
Speaker, sir, from the reply given by the minister stands to reason that this is a cover-up of State Trading Corporation and of the blunders made by your predecessor and the blunder made by the former director of State Trading Corporation.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't think this is a question. This is just allegation.
No allegation, please. Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Shakil Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The Honourable Minister clearly stated out a few minutes ago that the specifications of 2019 were substantially the same as the one of 2016. And this is precisely what I'm using his words. I'm here looking at the specifications for Mangalore refinery for 2016. And in the 2016 specifications, I read that it meets customer specification and no additive containing manganese. In other words, customer specification. But why is it therefore, and this is what I'd like the Honourable Minister to answer, why is it therefore in 2016 there is a customer specification for no manganese as opposed to 2019 where manganese is totally forgotten? And therein lies the problem. So where is the substantial sameness that the Honourable Minister is referring to? Could he enlighten us?
We don't even know whether the document that he's reading is 2016, 18, or 14. So I cannot answer to that.
I'll table it. Since he wants to hide his, I'll table it. The answer is still not forthcoming, sir.
Honorable Bhagwan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From what we have heard from the Honourable Minister, that he is the only one who is convinced and he is hiding behind the SGS or the bodies. But this whole issue sneaks corruption. We have been observing, we have been reading the different statements from the STC, the Minister himself. It would be good to clear the air if the Minister agrees in his own interest, public interest, to set up a commission of inquiry or an independent inquiry to see the involvement of the previous ministers, especially the previous general manager, in this whole issue of import of this type of fuel, where consumers are being taken for the ride and those who have suffered losses, their cars have been broken down. The minister is happy that he has nothing to hide. Is he agreeable to ask government, the Prime Minister, to conduct an independent inquiry? He has nothing to hide, especially with regard to the involvement of the previous general manager who is sitting here.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we are, as I told you, investigation is being carried out. We are analyzing the product, we're analyzing the pod, we're analyzing everything. Let us get the final report, then we can see. But as I mentioned before, the gas oil...
Honorable Bhagwan.
Mr. Speaker, this is pure frustration. This is frustration. Leave it. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I mentioned, once we get the final report, then we see, as I mentioned before, the gasoline has been supplied according to specification that has been sent to them.
Honorable Lobin.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to ask the Honourable Minister, with regards to the surveys and independent tests that the SSA is carrying out or awaiting results, when will we be getting those independent results and why is it taking so much time?
So if I finish?
Honorable Miao.
No, Mr. Speaker. Let me answer. Actually, the work is being done by an independent surveyor. I think it will not be independent if we are going to put pressure on them. We should let them do their work independently. When they finish with the report, they will send it to us.
Honorable Miao.
Mr. Speaker, a lot has been said about the contract between STC, Vitol Bahrain and Petro China, MRPL. The House is aware there has been a reduction of 40 million rupees as premium, which Vitol had agreed with STC. Therefore, can I ask the Honourable Minister if he is agreeable to table the contract between STC and Vitol?
Actually, I'm not aware of the figures that the Honourable Member is saying. Actually, this is not part of the question. If he comes with a specific question, then we'll reply.
Honorable Xavier Duval.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister, the samples must have been taken months ago by the STC and sent to the UK probably for testing. The MVDA has done the same and weeks ago, got the results. Why is the STC not able to tell us at least the results for manganese tested by the overseas surveyors? Why can't they at least tell us that? Otherwise, it will look to everyone like a cover-up.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I've already mentioned that before. There's an in-depth analysis being carried out with the samples collected at the tanks of the STC, from the MDVA, from the petrol stations, and from tanks of vehicles, and also carried out on the spare parts that probably has been damaged. So once it's a big investigation on all these items. It will not take, the MDVA just took one sample from their tanks and sent it to one surveyor. This is what is being carried out, and once we'll get the final report, we'll put it. Don't worry.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition, last question.
Mr. Speaker, so this is the scandal of the decade. In the light of so many in the light of so many replies, so many questions which have remained unanswered, in the light of so many gray areas, and in relation to product specification I have in mind, especially manganese, can I impress upon government, if there is honesty and seriousness of purpose, to set up a select committee to look into all these issues, so that those who've suffered undue harm, I have in mind those who've lost their cars, those whose cars have undergone irreparable damage, and those who have suffered huge financial loss. In the name of the consumers, I hope that government will set up this select committee.
Mr. Speaker, sir, a few months back, they went this parliament and they were saying, this government, only a few days left. And the people of this country trust us. Because whatever we are doing for the people of this country. We are working from this country. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, we'll clear the problem, we'll work en étroite collaboration. On est en train de travailler en étroite collaboration avec la MDVA. No complaints, we are working together. As we mentioned, it has been supplied according to specification. And whatever doubts comes from the NDVA or any other potential users of gasoline will take into account. We are here as a serving government. We are here to serve this nation, and we'll continue to do it in the best interest of this country. This is why we are sitting here today one more time.
Time is over.